Hello, folks. Welcome to Between Awesome and Disaster. This is your host, Will Carey. I appreciate you tuning in. I hope you're doing well, staying safe. If you're getting ready for Thanksgiving, I hope that your shopping and cooking is on schedule, and I hope that you're able to breeze through any awkward conversations at the dinner table, be it they political or personal, with grace and stuffing. And I'm very much in the midst, but if you're listening to this in November and December, very much in the midst of enjoying the World Cup, and at the same time making sure that I listen to the other podcast from Men in Blazers called World Corrupt, as there is undeniable problems with this particular tournament this year. But I'm still going to allow myself a sliver of joy when it comes to sports for this World Cup. It is finally cold in New York City. I feel like it took forever and a day for actual winter to show up, but now is the time. It's been windy. It has been chilly. It's time for me to start dressing like I am attending Hogwarts with my matching hats and scarf ensemble. If you are listening to this on the day it comes out, I believe the United States first group match against Wales is today. So hopefully we got a good result. I feel like there's a lot of expectation for the men's national team to top the group, a group that includes Iran, England, and Wales. And I'm very much looking forward to the England versus USA match later this week. So I apologies in advance to all of my UK friends. I'll be a little tensed during the duration of the game, and then we'll relax afterwards. But let's get into our show today. My guest on the show today is singer-songwriter Jack Adamant. Jack reached out to me as part of he has a new album out called Obscure Places and Cupboards that I think is a amazing alternative rock record. Like the vibes on this album like really bring back memories of like 90s alternative rock, like be it Dinosaur Jr. more that sort of kind of like power pop influenced rock of that era that I have a particular fondness for, and got some excellent, and as a recording nerd, got some really excellent guitar and drum sounds. Jack reached out to me, and I loved this record, so I was very excited to get to have him on the show. Jack is also based in Stockholm, Sweden, originally from Italy, but I was also very curious as a global thinker, and especially when it comes to music, very excited to learn more about his experience in Stockholm as well. And this is just really like, and if you are ever struggling to find new bands to listen to, this episode has a ton of them. I have a bunch of notes listed down of bands I'm going to check out after this. So I am really looking forward to sharing this episode with you. And if you guys like what you hear, you should definitely check out Jack's new album, again called Obscure Places and Cupboards. It is available everywhere you get your music, but you can also get it at jackadamant.bandcamp.com, jackadamant.bandcamp.com. And it is, if you love like just heartfelt, great songs, this is going to be an album for you to enjoy. And if you enjoy this podcast and want to tell your friends, you can send them to awesomedisaster.com. And if you are listening on Apple Podcasts, if you could do me a huge favor and leave a 5-star rating and a review, that helps boost the show in the Apple algorithm, lets them know that this is a cool show for cool people. And let's get into it and talk to Jack Adamant. I've been listening to your new record this week in preparation for this, which is called Obscure Places and Cupboards. And dude, this is the first time we've met, but you've made, and I mean this in the best way possible, like an excellent like throwback alternative rock record. Like the it's really really good.
Cheers, man.
It's like I really sort of like listening to it, and I would love to speak a little bit more about like the
Yeah.
writing and recording process. But like I really got the vibe of sort of that era of like 90s alternative rock where like all of the guitars were kind of a little fuzzy, but the songs were all like it's almost like psych rock meets power pop, like, and it's just like jam packed full of melodies. Like there's guitar melodies on top of vocal melodies. I would love to ask you a little bit. When did the like writing for this album like begin in earnest for you?
First, I would like to say I was trying to put as many guitars as possible in this record compared
Yeah.
to the past. Yeah, I really wanted to have a huge sound and also about the drums and the bass, everything.
Mm-hmm.
But about the recording process, I think there are some songs that are pretty old. Something that,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I wrote probably 7 years ago, and probably yeah, mainly two of them. They were just I wrote them, and then I couldn't find the best fit. I mean, about arrangements and the lyrics. There was something that was off there, so I
Mm-hmm.
left there behind, and then I said, okay, now it's not working this song, so I don't need to spend longer on this one. I'll try to write new ones. And then all of a sudden, it's like, there are some songs that they come back, especially when you're home strumming on a
Yeah.
guitar. And then you feel, okay, probably this song I can try now with a different, like inverting or swapping verses, chorus, or try to write a new hook or everything. I was trying out new stuff. So two of them is a Fateless Universe, one of them, and the other one is Leaves. Yeah,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
they made it to this record. But Pretty New is like Brush Your Teeth with a Smile. That was
Mm-hmm.
the last song that I wrote actually before wrapping up the record.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, that one's like
Uh,
super catchy.
Thanks. Yeah. And then Astray also was a. I started writing Astray probably 2 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
and it dictate the sound of the audio record. I think Astray,
Yeah.
because this time I was more involved in the mixing and recording, and so I really need to figure out the best template. When you are in this DAW, and it can be Pro Tools, Logic. I don't
Mm-hmm.
think that makes much difference. So, and yeah, Astray was actually the kind of song that I was going back every time to. If there was something that was not working for the about the new songs or to the new song that I was recording that specific moment, I was going back to Astray to check about guitars or bass, and so I
Mm-hmm.
was using Astray as a template for the old record.
Yeah, that sort of becomes like the guidepost by which you
Yeah,
can
yeah,
approach the sound of the rest of the songs.
like the reference track, I think.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And speaking to like revisiting like those old songs that maybe like when you were initially writing them, and then like over the years like you change and grow as a songwriter, like learn new things, and are exposed to different ideas, like those songs like almost catch up to where you are now, like the song was meant for this moment and this album for sure.
Yeah, it feels like the magic of that song is back, and you can finally use it. Because I found myself sometimes struggling. I really want to have this song. It has to be done at the end of the day. I think it was kind of the Beatles approach, try
Mm-hmm.
to complete the song as soon as possible. But some songs, you have to leave it. I think he has to feel
Mm-hmm.
he needs to feel natural. I think the whole process. So if the song is not ready yet, or is made for a different era, you just need to
Sure.
wait. Yeah.
I agree. I was talking about this with a friend of mine on the show because that I went to university with for acting, and we were talking about how like when we were younger, like we didn't have like the experience to really like fully like live certain roles, like but
Yeah.
after like you kind of live a little bit and you get tossed through the tumbler of life somewhat, then you're like, oh, okay, now I know what this song needs. I can like really sing this in a way that I can do it. I would love to talk about the guitar tones a little bit. I like to nerd out a little bit on this podcast.
Yeah.
I'm trying to I was trying to piece out the guitar tones because, and kind of like reading your bio a little bit and hearing like Dinosaur Jr. as like influence and stuff. I was
Yeah.
curious if
Yeah.
your main guitar is Jazz Master or a Telecaster. It sounds like a Fender of some kind, but I was curious because it sounds great. Like it sounds like the guitars are the clean guitars are like there's a richness to them, and then the
It's Gresh. Gretsch is the brand, I think.
oh, okay, yeah, I know Gretsch.
And the bass is Rickenbacker and a Gibson Thunderbird.
Ah, very cool.
So mainly on those instruments was the record recorded. All the songs were recorded.
Oh, nice. I've never played
Ye-
a Rickenbacker, but they sound amazing.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. I remember this one. I found it actually here in Stockholm. I'm in Stockholm right now.
Yeah.
It's probably you read on my bio.
Hmm.
I'm always been traveling a little bit around, like Italy. I was in UK. I was in the States too, and but based mainly in Stockholm, Sweden.
Hmm.
And I found actually this bass in a store here. Is an old one, really old. You can see something missing, like some knobs or
Uh-huh.
scratches everywhere. But I like when something is like feels dated. Someone has been using it a lot, so
Hmm.
it means that it was worth it for somebody else.
Absolutely. It
And
has character. Like there's songs
yeah,
built into
exactly.
that instrument.
Mm,
Absolutely.
history.
Hmm. And especially compared to like there's the folks nowadays that want to get like their new guitar pre-relict. I can't understand. I can't understand that. You got to like beat it up and get beer spilled on your stuff and like get like drop it a few times, get the wear.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Especially when you play live and in those tiny clubs where you have the people right in front of you. I remember when I was playing with my old band, and you had the crowd right in front of you, stepping on your pedals, on your effects, and
Hmm.
almost spitting on your instruments. Like, it feels nice in a way.
I'm inclined to
Mm.
agree with you. That's when I learned the value of like, okay, maybe I'll take my $400 bass to this gig instead of like my really nice bass that doesn't isn't made anymore. That'll be difficult to replace. But I would love to speak to you a little bit
Mm.
because I about about your time in Stockholm. Did you grow up in Stockholm?
No, Italy actually,
Italy.
south of Italy. Yeah.
Oh, okay, okay.
And I moved to Sweden. I think 2012 was
Okay. And
the first time that I moved here.
what drew you to Sweden?
When I was playing with my previous band, actually two of the members of the band they decided to move to Sweden, and we had one of them, the one on the guitar, the guitarist was already living here, and so we agreed actually to try to tour in Sweden too, because we were already playing a lot of shows in Italy. But
Hmm.
then we realized probably it could be a big change. It could be like stimulating, and there is a big music scene over here too. So let's try it out. So why not?
Oh,
And
that's so
then I got
cool.
stuck here.
Gotcha. That is
Yeah.
so cool. Like being like American and then like talking to like Europeans. Like I was like, oh, I was born I live in Italy, but I think I'll just pop over to Paris for the weekend. Like it's as
Yeah.
someone who loves to travel, like that is all super cool to me. And what was your
It's easy. It's very easy to travel in Europe, I think. Once you have your ID card, it's very easy. Just it feels a waste sometimes just to get stuck in the same place. You really feel like with the Ryanair, like very cheap,
Yeah.
inexpensive tickets. Sometimes you just travel.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And like to find like all these like little scenes in different countries. That's all very interesting. That's all very really cool to me. So Stockholm, and what's been your exposure? And then I'll go back a little bit. What was your experience with the Stockholm music scene in terms of clubs or like what's really popular? Because my only knowledge of Swedish music is the like melodic death metal scene from like the '90s.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, they have this punk band. I think is getting bigger and bigger in the States. Viagra Boys, I think they're called. It's a really punk,
Mm-hmm.
old school band. A little bit like the bright, ugly your your band
Oh,
was.
like my band.
Yeah, I was listening to your band today actually, and
Oh,
I really
really?
like. Yeah, I'm really digging Spin Around.
Oh, yes. Our,
Yeah.
our cover. Yeah. I felt pretty good with how that they came out. That was my first time trying to mix something myself. So thank you. I appreciate that.
I like the lo-fi attitude there, I think.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Like for
very.
yeah, for our stuff, like we like keeping it a little messy.
Mm. But going back to Stockholm, I think there is a really big rock and metal scene over here. It's
Mm-hmm.
like they have, there is Bob Hund is a big name too,
Mm-hmm.
and very experimental with the. If you compare the first records to the recent ones, the new ones, there is a big change. They've been exploring different kind of music, but
Mm-hmm.
I think the grunge and the rock ground is still there. I think so. When
Gotcha.
they play around here, I like to see them live. And yeah, so not only ABBA, there is more than.
Yes. Although I do love ABBA. Those songs
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
are ridiculously catchy.
Mm.
So you grew up in southern Italy, and when you were like younger and getting into music, was there like one album that stood out to you in particular that kind of set the course, or was there like a aha moment where you were exposed to like rock music for the first time?
Oh, that's such a great question, though. Absolutely. Nirvana was a big thing for me in
Mm-hmm.
utero and Nevermind. Those two records,
Oh yeah.
also Bleach. Yeah, I love them. And also the Foo Fighters. But before Smashing Pumpkins, I should say,
Mm-hmm.
were a big influence on me. Husker Du, Bob Mould. I love Bob Mould. Yeah, everything he does.
Yeah.
It's my
But
cup of tea.
yeah, Bob Mold is great. Bob Mold is
Mm.
fantastic. I love his solo stuff. He put out I can't
Yeah,
remember the
yeah.
name of it off the top of my head, but he put out this solo record that has a song called "The War" on it, and I don't know you anymore. That to me, that's sort of
Yeah,
like
yeah, that was the one of
you know what
the
I'm
last
talking about.
one. Yeah,
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 like
yeah, definitely.
that. Yeah, that's sort of like there's an energy of punk to it, but there's sort of
Mm,
like jangle singer songwriter kind of thing.
yeah,
There's like an urgency to the lyrics and like really briskly strung chords with like some acoustic mixed in sometime.
yeah, yeah.
We're vibing. I'm vibing so hard with you right now because that stuff is like my bread and butter. That's like my favorite music.
No, but I was mentioning him actually for a reason, because like especially when I was a newbie on the guitar and the bass, so
Mm-hmm.
only able to strum some chords on the guitar and play basic lines like
Mm-hmm.
trying to learn from the Pixies on bass. uh, I remember that the way to sound better for me was to use the same distortion that actually Bob Mould uses. Is an MXR distortion, the yellow one,
Ah, yeah. I know the one
Stonebox.
you're talking about.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that one. Yeah, I was putting that one on the guitar, on the bass, and it was cherry on the cake.
Mm-hmm. Ah,
Mm.
that's spectacular.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, because that distortion is like it's very sort of like you can still hear every note you're playing like when you strike like
yeah,
a big
yeah.
full open chord compared to
Mm.
like I have like so many different distortion pedals. Like some are more for like geared for like just kind of like single notes, or like my guitarist in Bright Ugly does like the fuzz, the big muff.
Yeah,
which
I
is
know.
kind of
Yeah.
difficult to strum like a big open chord with, but it sounds
Mm.
great for like lead and power chords. Very, 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 very cool. Yeah, that era of there's just so many like great songwriters in that era
Yeah, yeah,
of grunge
yeah.
and like
I was
alternative
thinking
rock.
about, but actually now I remember. The big change for me was when I was sitting at home with talking with this friend of mine, and actually was I think it was high school probably. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking. I was really young back then, and we were planning actually to have our first show at school with this guy,
Uh huh.
who actually ended up being like the drummer of my previous band, Valeriana, and actually we found this cassette. It was um, the year punk broke from 1991.
Uh
That
huh.
was, and there we found out all those bands like Sonic Youth, Mudhoney, Nirvana, and Dinosaur Jr. So that
Mm-hmm.
one was a big change for me, because when I found out that there were these bands and this sound that was totally different than what you could hear on the radio, that was a little bit more popish, I should say.
Oh yeah, like I'm picturing
Yeah,
like pop radio of the '90s. At least for me, I don't know how it was in Italy at the time, but like it was like Mariah Carey, Michael
yeah,
Bolton,
yeah.
Boys to Men, like a lot of R&B. Like that was that sound in like '94 through like '97, '98.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, I always been a little bit more curious about finding new sound, new bands, or those kind of bands that nobody were was listening to.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
And was that difficult in Italy around that time? Was
I
there?
think the problem was that only way uh, to get new music was either asking your friends at school to have a copy of their CDs or cassettes,
Mm-hmm.
tapes, or actually on the radio, MTV. That was
Mm-hmm.
that was a big thing. So now I feel that with all this technology and Spotify and YouTube, I'm trying to catch up with all these bands that I missed during that time. Because
Mm-hmm.
I remember when you got like the best present that you could get for a friend of yours was like this cassette, the equivalent of the playlist right now, where you had all those songs that you could fit
Mm-hmm.
on the tape. That was the best thing ever, because it was a way to discover new bands. So that was the only way that I remember. And recently, I actually the way I found you as well, Will, was about Goalkeeper. Actually, what a great band,
Oh, they're
Goalkeeper.
so good. I love
Yeah,
them.
yeah. I'm digging the new record. I wish I met you sooner. That one is is amazing.
It's so good. Like the song
Oh,
again, like the songs are just like so good. Like I cannot wait to just shout those words the next time they play New York. I love that
yeah, yeah.
band.
Me too. If they are in Europe, I'll definitely go and check them out.
Oh yeah,
So
absolutely.
yeah, it's on my playlist. Like every day, I'm listening to their songs. I really like the singing, the guitars, the
Hmm.
groove. Actually,
Oh yeah.
I think my favorite is "Focus." I think it's the song from the.
Yeah, Focus
It's
is
one of the songs. Yeah,
yeah, Focus is a great song. I love Talk About is another favorite of mine
yeah,
from
yeah,
the new
yeah.
record.
Mine too.
Yeah. Well, if you like Goalkeeper, have you ever heard of a band called the Menzingers?
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
They're
okay.
touring with the Sincere Engineer,
Yes.
which is one of my favorite bands as well. But actually, I knew Messengers before Sincere Engineers. But that's
Mhm.
the power of the internet. I think that you start googling or try to see more about to discover more about one band, and then you find out that they're playing with thousand other bands, and those bands are great. As great as the
Oh,
main singers. Yeah,
or yeah, like I remember, because back in the era of CDs, the way like me and my friends used to discover new bands is we'd get an album and then we would look in the book and then look at all the bands that
yeah,
that band thanked, and then go and like, okay, I'm gonna go get all of that stuff. and then you just keep going down the rabbit hole until you eventually
Yeah,
get back to the. I feel like for a lot of the stuff like the patient zero is the Ramones, but then if
mm,
you even go back to past the Ramones, you get to like the like bubblegum pop bands of like the '60s, like
yeah.
Ohio Express and that kind of stuff.
Mm. Yeah, but this is another way that I'm trying to do right now. Just if I found like a band that I like, then I try to understand. Okay, this band, what kind of bands they're referring to when they're about the music that they're playing now, or if they're touring with somebody else. I'm really curious. I'm getting obsessed with discovering new bands. Like there is no day that I go home without like having been listening to 4 or 5 new bands.
That's
It's so yeah.
that's really great. That's an excellent. I try to keep that attitude as well. Cause I'm in like my mid 30s now, so I'm never trying to be the like, music was great when I was younger kind of guy that you see
Yeah,
on the
yeah, no,
internet
me
a lot.
neither. Me neither. No, just I give up the thing in that way. I think I use the new technology. I was a little bit against social media, like all those uh, Instagram. You had to be on Instagram. You had to be on TikTok. You had to be on Twitter or
Mm-hmm.
everything. And actually, it was very interesting the podcast when you were having a chat with the Rishi, the
Ah, yeah,
the
Rishi
guy
from.
from
Mm-hmm.
Eternal Boy. I love them. We with my band also we made a cover of one of their
Oh,
one of their
nice.
songs. It's harder to say the one, but I really
Mm-hmm.
love Eternal Boy. If you ask me to choose between Blink 182 and Eternal Boy, I'll go for Eternal Boy. Sorry, guys.
Oh, it's all
I have
good
to say
because
that.
yeah, well, they're new. Well, I knew Rishi because of his music festival, but then when I discovered his band, I was like, "Holy crow! This is way more stuff that we have to talk about
Yeah,
before we
yeah,
get to running
yeah.
a music festival." This and that's excellent. And when did you first? What was your last band called before your solo stuff? Was that like your high
It
school
was
band?
Valeriana. Was Valeriana. We were playing like kind of hard rock grunge
Okay.
music with them. We released one CD, was called Auto Regulation. That was back in the days, and that was one of my first experience in a studio, and it was here in Stockholm. That was really uh, one of the greatest experiences that I had in my life because I was there recording and then with a mixing engineer, so I could be there and learning actually how it works and how much creativity actually there is in the overall process, not only about recording but also mixing.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, although recently I was having actually a discussion with this label called Lislet Records, where I know them because they have one of my favorite band called the Coastal Fire Department. And I was talking with them, and we were chatting a lot about my record, and they were
Mm-hmm.
saying that mixing your own songs, it's really hard because you're too much involved in your stuff, so
Yes.
you can be objective there. So probably, and I agree with Rich as well about this one. If you need to invest more time or decide to sacrifice time from what you're doing and to pay somebody else to do your work. So probably in the future, I will totally invest in a producer that can actually can give me the big picture of what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
That they can be helpful, I think.
Yeah, there's a real value to having that objective point of view brought into a creative project. Absolutely. And there's also just a certain level of like it takes off it for me at least, it takes off a great deal of stress
Yeah,
because
yeah,
you're not the one going back and doing revisions over and over again. um i I'm coming more and more around to the idea of music, the collaborative nature of music outside of just the songwriting part and the band part. In the okay, well, you're the performers, but then let's bring in the team that will make you sound really good. Because like
yeah.
because like when you play live, you're not running back and forth doing the mixing board most of the time.
No, never.
There's someone there who knows what they're doing to do it. So there's I agree with you. I think there's a lot of value in and seeking that outside perspective for sure.
But also, this is the reason why on the last record, Obscure Places and Cupboards,
Mm-hmm.
I was asking actually it was not only me working on this record, there was also the guy that was playing drums with me called Jed.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy was not only taking care of the drums, but he was also giving me the big picture of whatever was actually happening. Because when you are spending so much time there recording, overdubbing, and fiddling with the EQ and compressors and the tape emulators, or you're losing the sight, you're losing the actually what was actually happening there, and if actually
Yeah.
the song is worth it. Because sometimes you just like creating rubbish. It's like the song is not worth
Right.
it. Just drop it, write a new one.
Mm-hmm.
So you
Yeah.
have to have to detach from actually from what you're creating and
Mm-hmm.
being objective, understanding if actually something that you're doing is useful for the purpose. I mean,
Yep. I can absolutely see that. I've also tried to apply that to my songwriting in the last few years, as far as like just trying to be more efficient when it comes to writing. And I'd love to ask you a little bit about this. And
yeah,
how do you think your approach to writing songs has evolved from this record now, and maybe even some of thinking about those older songs and what unlocked them this time. How do you think your approach to the craft of songwriting has evolved over the last few years in between your last two albums?
uh, I think when I found this label, which is from Milan, and I'm talking about maybe 2015, I was really into this J Maskis solo project. I love the record, the Several Shades of Why.
Uh huh.
And I wanted to have something a little bit more intimate because I was coming from my grunge band, and so I
Mm-hmm.
said I don't want to have drums on this one. Let's
Okay.
start from this. I want to have just guitars. And then I was going into detail. I was listening almost every day these Several Shades of White, and I was trying to understand how actually they've been recording this record, how the placement of the instruments in the panorama. You saw it's like when
Mm-hmm.
you're panning like a guitar all the way to left and the other one all the way to right. So
Right.
I was trying to understand all these basic things about mixing and recording, but I wanted to have like something a little bit more soft than the music that I was playing in the past.
Mm-hmm.
And that was my first actually experience with having like a solo project out there. And that was with the Launch 12 since 82 was my first EP. It's
Mm-hmm.
5 songs, but without drums.
Okay.
So there was an experiment. It turned out okay. It's fine.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of good reviews and stuff. But then I felt that I wanted to go back to the hard rock and grunge and having guitars and
Yeah.
drums combined,
Sure.
struggling where the voice is there. That really, it's a fight because you want to have everything on your face. Like the drums needs to be louder, the guitars needs
Mm-hmm.
to be louder, but I can hear the voice, and then just you're stuck. You don't know what to do there. Just somebody needs to fix there, here, and there
Mm-hmm.
to make like a decent recording and listenable. So that was Unkind, the second record, and actually it's more alternative rock,
Mm-hmm.
more grunge compared to the old work. But this time with the new record, had a totally different direction because I was listening a lot of Get Up Kids,
Uh-huh.
I should say, and the Wonder Years as well.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
Great
and
bands.
yeah, great bands, absolutely. And so the direction was a little bit more to have a little bit more punk
Mm-hmm.
influence on this kind of record. And the songs I was aiming for shorter songs as well.
Mm-hmm.
Probably something that I got from Guided by Voices, I should say.
Uh-huh. Yep.
And I was thinking, like in this new era where everyone is running, everyone is busy with his own stuff. people don't. I don't feel that people have time to listen to 4 or 5 minutes songs. I would just think it's like maybe I should make songs that are shorter than 2 minutes. There was
Hmm.
actually brush your teeth with a smile. It's like I think it's shorter than 2 minutes.
Yeah, yeah, that one's
Yeah,
a quick one. But there's like you get it, you like it, and you're like, oh, I'm gonna listen to it again. So
yeah, yeah. I noticed that the goalkeeper they did the same thing. 10 songs in 20 minutes, 28 minutes, I think.
yeah, yeah, like they're very like efficient with it. And even like when I've talked
Yeah.
to them, like they would do like songwriting sessions with Casey from the Wonder Years and
Wow. Wow.
or Nick from I don't know if you know the pop punk band Man Overboard, their bassist
Yeah, 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 yeah. I know them.
produced, yeah, so he Nick
Mm,
produced I Wish I Met You Sooner, um or engineered it. So like his big thing is like get it, like basically get to the point, like make the trim everything that
mhm.
out of the song that it doesn't need, and be as concise as possible. So that I I see a lot of value into that approach, especially like nowadays, because I feel like everyone's attention spans, especially in streaming, is so short that
Yeah.
unless the song needs to be 4 or 5 minutes long, um, you can trim it for absolutely.
I think the first version of Fateless Universe was probably 10 minutes.
Oh wow.
Then I was just reconsider a lot of stuff. It's like here I'm not writing Shine on You Crazy Diamond. Just
Hmm.
I need to to change stuff, just to ban all the things that I don't need, like too many verses. I think if I had to choose between a verse and a chorus, then I'll definitely save the chorus, of course, because
Oh.
this is what people are waiting for.
Hmm. Yeah, that's what they want to
And
like pump their fists
yeah,
and sing to. Yeah.
so the approach was actually writing something a little bit shorter and to be more effective. So to say something, just without like going around, I would say beating around the bushes.
Hmm. Yeah, 100%. I relate to this. I was a victim of very long intros for a long time because
Yeah.
I was always a little insecure about my singing, so I was like, oh, let's take as long as we can before I gotta start singing this verse. Um, so, but yeah, when you get to like the juicy parts faster, like I feel like people
Mm.
can get into it for sure. Um, so you do this grunge band, and then you start doing your solo stuff. Have you toured a lot as a solo artist?
What I should say is like already when I was in the band with my previous band, I was writing some songs that for me were not really the best fit for the sound that we had with this band. So I
Mm-hmm.
was saving those songs for something different. I didn't
Yeah.
know what to do with them back then, but then I started realizing probably I should start working in a solo project. And I was like back then I was like had 40, maybe 50 songs. I'm not talking about snippets. I'm talking like full songs
Right.
ready to be recorded. Actually, too long. So
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you can take like a part of a song and use it in another one, like an outro or a special
Uh-huh.
whatever,
Yeah.
a bridge, which doesn't work in that kind of song. And it's easy actually with those new digitally now with the cutting stuff. You're not
Mm-hmm.
there with working on a tape actually, but
Yeah.
which there are cons, pros and cons about this. I think sometimes you start like fiddling too much with those new technology, and then you lose the sight. You lose actually the goal, the target, why you are
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
That
It's
you're
definitely a
writing the song.
balance.
You're yeah. And yeah, so I've been collecting a lot of songs when I was playing with this with my old band, and I still have like those few songs that I would like to review and see if they can work in a future project.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think that I have the problem in writing new stuff. So every time that just I say, okay, I need to write like 10 new songs, and I need to release a new EP. So then I start writing things.
Mm-hmm.
Recently, I found myself using a lot, like on my iPhone, like notes. You start writing
Yeah.
snippets of a lyric, and uh, and see if it works. Sometimes just I take like some lyrics that I saved on my phone, and I put it in front of me with the chords that I'm strumming on the guitar, and then all of a sudden something comes up
Mm-hmm.
from out of the blue, and it works. So I think it's more about understanding what you need to keep and what you need to left behind. I think
Mm-hmm.
that's the struggle for me.
Yeah. Yeah, because you have so much stuff to choose from,
Yeah.
and then kind of having to pare it down, and then like be kind of selective. Were there songs that were really good, but they just weren't a fit for this record that you think you'll be revisiting in the future?
Five for sure.
Okay.
Uh, because some songs I started writing and recording before even thinking about releasing this record.
Mm-hmm.
And I was listening to, I remember Michael Cronin was also played in Stockholm. This guy was good, and so the sound that I wanted to give to those songs was a little bit different, a little bit
Mm-hmm.
more lo-fi, and so I've been trying to remix those songs, but it didn't work out. So
Mm-hmm.
I just left it there. So probably I'm gonna release like a new record with that specific sound, or they will be left there
Gotcha.
forever.
Uh-huh. I hear you.
Mm.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, I definitely feel like you've really succeeded with the new record. Like the first time it struck me as like I'm gonna try to think of the quote that I was thinking. It's like it was like the tone of Pavement, like that era of like '90s rock, like the tone of Pavement, but more straightforward. And again, I mean that in like the most complimentary way possible, because like it just sounds like it really brings the sound of the production just really brings you in to the music, like, and what you're doing. It's really great.
I'm a big fan of Malcolm's and the Pavement,
Uh huh.
so definitely that sound uh, is part of me, I should say. And we worked a lot on the drums because
Oh yeah,
who
drum
doesn't?
sound is great. Drum
Yeah,
sound
if
is really
drums
good.
doesn't sound good, then there's no reason to release a record, I think.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Oh, yeah.
absolutely. And like the drums, like especially like when you get in like the really tommy parts, like the really like bass heavy parts, and like in verses, like they're just like so. It's like so like deep and resonant. The drum sounds.
Yeah, it was nice to work with this guy, Jed.
Mm-hmm.
This guy is amazing. He also helps with the music videos, with the artwork, and having him there. He's a drummer, and then working with him. Some drums they were live, some other were like produced with a laptop actually. So
Nice.
there was like a good combo. We were trying to experiment with different stuff. But for me, what drums that they sound live, now listening back, they are the one that it feels that they are not live, and vice versa. So it's hard to tell. It's good. It's good. That guy's good. So whatever I ask him, he's able to manage to. Yeah, and the bass, as I said about the bass lines. There was a song actually where there was a friend of mine playing bass with his Yamaha, and
Mm-hmm.
he's brush your teeth with a smile.
Yep.
Actually, yeah, it was that guy playing the bass on Vix. It's called, and on the other, yeah, and it was me on the rest of the songs with
Mm-hmm.
my Rickenbacker and the Gibson.
Very, very cool. And so this guy Judd, like he played drums and engineered just for this record, or is he like your go-to drummer for like shows and stuff?
More for this record, but he has been
Okay,
playing drums with me forever. Yeah,
great.
he's family for me. This guy is amazing. So he's always ready to go. He's like, if I call him, I give him a call today. Say, tomorrow we are touring the States. Are you
Uh-huh.
coming? He's gonna say yes. I'll be there.
Very
Count on
cool.
me. Cool man.
Fantastic. And where have you played in the States? You mentioned earlier you've toured the States before. Where did you play?
No, no, no. We didn't tour the States. I was
Oh, okay.
there for a period of time. I have some friends there too. I would love to tour with someone actually.
Mm-hmm.
Myself, I think it's a little bit complicated actually to tour on your own. Not only expensive, by managing everything.
Yeah, you
It's
would.
tough.
Yeah, like you at least need like one other person. I think would be nice to help. At least at bare minimum, someone else who can drive.
Yeah,
uh
yeah, but I mean also band. If you can
huh.
open for somebody else, there will be yeah they will be viable. I think.
Mm-hmm. Is there somewhere you outside of the States? Is there somewhere like is there a country you haven't played yet that you'd really like to?
I will definitely like to play more in England. Probably there is a
Mm-hmm.
good music scene there too. I'm listening recently to this band called Reminders. They're great. I really love them, and I think there I would like to play. But in Europe, I heard Poland is a good place to play as well.
Oh, interesting. That's cool. Yeah, I hadn't heard about
Mm.
folks playing wanting touring from Poland
I
before.
had a friend of mine that was studying there. So
Uh huh.
when I went to visit him, I remember that he took me to those places where they're playing rock music, and then I was so surprised. Uh, there
Mm-hmm.
is more rock music here than in Sweden. I felt
Interesting.
so. Yeah,
Awesome. Okay,
sometimes
so
there
we
are
got one.
places where you don't think that they like this kind of music, like punk music, punk rock
Mm-hmm.
music. But there are.
Oh, oh
Just
yeah.
we need to find them.
Exactly. It's everywhere. Zach from the Man Overboard told me this great story about playing this amazing show in Manila in the Philippines with like a whole bunch of like super
Here we go.
passionate Man Overboard
Mm.
fans, and it's like, oh, that's so awesome. Or if you ever see like the Anvil movie, Anvil, the story of Anvil, uh, the very end of the show where they play this big show in Japan, and there's a in front of a huge crowd after they've just been getting their asses kicked by life for the entire movie, and then they
No, I
have this
haven't seen that,
tribute.
but I heard about it.
Oh, it is. If you are a music person, you gotta watch this movie
Yeah,
because there's just so many. There's just so many things that you're gonna relate to, like especially early on, because this movie like really kind of like established them because they've been kind of grinding it out for years. And so there's like, oh, they miss their train. They like get stiffed by a promoter.
yeah.
The anticipated crowd is like a tenth of what they were told. There's a lot to. It's a real. I've heard it described as a testament to the human spirit, and
Wow.
so yeah, I would definitely suggest checking out Anvil: The Story of Anvil. I think they're a remastered version's coming out soon, so keep an eye out for that.
Yeah,
Um,
I'll catch up
that's
for
a
sure.
that's a pretty great one. Yeah, and speaking of like European bands, like I feel like you would play very well in Germany, like Hamburg, specifically because I know all the punks are in
Hmm.
Hamburg because they're all fans of the soccer team or football team St. Pauli. So I feel like
Yeah.
there's a base there. And then there's this great I don't know if they're still doing stuff, but there's this great band from Germany I discovered called the Do Nots that I really like.
It rings a bell, actually. I think I heard them.
Yeah, like super catchy, like melodic punk rock, and then they will throw like a pub song in every now and then with like a big
Mm.
chant along acoustic thing.
No, but Germany can be a place. I remember that when I was playing with Valeriana with these guys, they we wanted to try actually to get there because we had someone that we knew that was living there. And
Mm-hmm.
also I think one of their brothers, because this guy that they were playing with me, there were two brothers, but they had an old one, the older brother that was living there in Hamburg,
Mm-hmm.
and we wanted to try to get there, and and actually play in Hamburg. Now the guy moved to New York, so
Of
I
course.
think
Oh
he's
well,
having
you
more fun in New York.
right. Well, you can come and you can come and play in New York. Well, we could do
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah,
we'll do like a DIY space in Brooklyn somewhere, like deep Brooklyn. It'll be fun.
yeah, yeah, definitely. And recently, I actually started making like stripped down versions of all the songs from the record. That's the advantage when actually you write the songs on a guitar. That even if they will be overproduced at the end, because we I don't need to lie myself. It's like as soon as you start like overdubbing and
Mm-hmm.
arranging, you're there in front of the computer and you're gonna record like thousand guitars, lines, tracks, and then you don't know what to use. I recently find myself experimenting a lot with chord inversions
Uh huh.
just to make the sound bigger of the guitars. I don't like when the two guitars are actually doing the same thing. Whatever actually the,
Yeah.
the bass can do, and if the guitar is taking the space of the bass, then I don't need that guitar. Sorry,
Mm-hmm. Oh no,
away,
no,
away
no,
from my
totally.
bass.
Yeah, yeah. Like the bass is there to do its thing.
Yeah,
Well, that's the testament of a great song is if you can
Mm.
just do guitar and vocals and it still sounds like it's itself.
yeah, like
Absolutely.
a final product.
Yeah, but I know what you mean. There's something fun about like okay, I'm gonna play this G chord, and then I will play a G chord up here, and then I'll play this like chimey G chord, and then I'll play the ska G
Yeah, yeah,
chord, and then we'll go up
exactly.
to the 15th fret, and we'll play it up here, and then we'll play some like dee 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 dee. Like the thing I
Yeah,
I
yeah.
really responded to on the record is just like the layering of like little high up arpeggiated parts. Like
Mhm.
I really like that stuff in songs. So that was really cool to hear. That caught my ear.
No, but I should say I was every time that I was in that kind of situation that I was like recording too many guitars or too many parts. So then I was actually taking a break and thinking, okay, here I have to think Pixies wise, or I love this other band, the Campbell Apartment. I really
Mm-hmm.
like them. The way the songwriting is amazing, and the
Okay.
simplicity. So, or REM actually can be a good example. I love
Mm-hmm.
Monster, the record. Uh, so if I'm doing something too complicated, for sure I'm gonna struggle in mixing because you have too many things to deal with.
Right.
So I like to step back and understanding, okay, I don't need to record more. If I start putting like keyboards now, it's gonna be game over.
It's like okay. It's like okay. Let me pull out the string the like string
Yeah,
quartet MIDI and stuff.
ukulele, banjo.
And then next thing you know, your Mumfords and Sons is like, oh, where did I get these
Yeah,
suspenders and
yeah.
this hat that makes me look like a dock worker in the 1800s?
Yeah, it's not punk anymore. It's something different.
Yeah, it becomes something else entirely. Um, so the records, what would you like to? What are some of like your future plans for as far as this album cycle?
I think the guy Judd is actually rehearsing the whole record on drums. So either we will be a duo, just me and him. But
Mm-hmm.
every time that we are in a rehearsal room in a studio and we are playing together, he's always complaining. He says like, just with one guitar, I don't understand the parts. I don't understand when you're playing the verse, when you're playing the chorus. Everything sounds the same.
Huh.
For him. So I feel maybe I should have different, more distortions pedals, more fuzz pedals to differentiate the parts. But I
Oh,
know
there
what
you
it means.
go.
It means that yeah, it means that you need like a bass player to list. You have to be three. I'm now
Mm-hmm.
thinking like I'm thinking about Nirvana and stuff because when there is the bass line, you have something to follow, like magnet, like no, compass. Sorry, like a compass. You know
Yeah.
that you're following something, but if
Mm-hmm.
it's just a guitar and the drums, and you're trying to play uh, grunge or punk, so either the drummer needs to know exactly every single parts of the song.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he needs to know in detail the whole record, which is I don't know either. You know what I
Uh-huh. Sure.
But we'll figure it out actually to play live. I would love
Great.
to play the whole record front to back in front of people. That's dark. It doesn't matter if it will be myself playing the whole record.
Mhm.
Like recently, the singer and guitar player of Sincere Engineer, she's playing like strip. She played like a couple of stripped down shows, more than a
Okay.
couple. But that's cool too, because I can either go with an acoustic guitar or like a soul electric. Uh,
Yeah, like a Billy Bragg thing.
yeah, it will work too. I think combining those two things, it can work. Also, thinking about clubs, there are some clubs that they can fit too many people. It's like really small clubs.
Mhm.
They will definitely appreciate if I can just play, if I can just be myself, than putting the old drum set, which will
Sure,
take too
sure.
much space. And yeah, it's more, for sure it's more cool for videos and pictures when there is
Mhm.
the
The full
drums
band.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah, the full band. But I think December will be a big change. We will see what we can do.
Well, excellent. Well, I think as long as
Mm.
you're creating a chance for other people to like hear and connect with these songs, that's going to be nothing but a good thing, Jack. So, is there anything else we can plug before we get out here?
Uh, Probably we should talk about the um, modern music, how the new bands approach the these new technologies, how to use the new technology. Because it's like I feel it's a little bit overwhelming. We have too many stuff out there, too many
Mm-hmm.
people preaching about how to record your guitar, how to record yourself, homemade recording, this kind of things.
Mm-hmm.
And or the same about being having a website, being on different social medias, sharing stuff every day, creating content. So I found myself that actually for me the most important thing is that like I believe in creativity first of all.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to distinguish yourself to make yourself distinctive, you
Yeah.
know, and to do that I found myself to be a little bit the kind of person that goes out of his comfort zone.
Mm-hmm.
That helps me a lot. It's like if I'm stuck doing the same thing over and over, it's not gonna help my creativity. So I need to do something different. Like also sitting or reading a book in the same place every day. It doesn't work for me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Maybe there is something wrong with me,
Yeah.
but I need
You
to.
like to break routines.
Yeah, yeah, I love to break routines. I think it really helps. But about creating content, actually, I would say I like to take inspiration when I found a new band or when I look up, let's say, Eternal Boy page, and I see
Mm-hmm.
how they work. Actually, you when you're a band that is not you don't have a name that is that big, so then you try to look up for big names and see how they work so they you can actually follow their path and catch up whatever they're doing. But taking inspiration sometimes can I see a lot of people they try to copy what others do,
Yeah.
maybe because of the frustration they've been trying and trying, like grinding too much over
Yeah.
and over, and then at the end like they found that the only way is to copy whatever, copy carbon,
Mm-hmm.
whoever is doing better than them. But for me, I still believe that you have to do something unique. That try to take inspiration, but don't copy. I don't think it's the way to go. People will see if you're genuine and if you're doing something that comes from you.
I think that's very true, and that's great. I think that's a perfect thing to close on. Dude, this has been great, Jack. I really appreciate you talking to me. This has been excellent. And anytime you're in the States or I am in Sweden, let's hang out.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much, man. This has been great.
Thanks for having me.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is Jack Adamant. Get his new record, Obscure Places and Cupboards, available everywhere you get your music, including Spotify and Bandcamp. Bandcamp, I'm sure, if anyone doesn't know, is a great way for artists to get compensated. So make sure that you get Obscure Places and Cupboards everywhere that you get your music. It's a great album with a lot of great songs on it, and that is the highest compliment I can give to an artist or a musician. Is I really love. I'm in respect, like, great songwriting is my jam. So make sure that you get Jack's new record everywhere you get your music. And if you enjoyed this podcast and feel like you know a friend who would be interested in listening to this as well, you can send them to awesomedisaster.com. That has links to everywhere that you can get the show, including Apple, Stitcher, and Spotify. If you want to give us a follow or a subscribe or on any of those platforms, those are great ways to help share the show and just let people know where they can listen. And if you guys want to go a little bit further and support the show, you can check out our merch page, which is also at awesomedisaster.com, as well as our Patreon, patreon.com/awesomedisaster. And you can find links to all my social media, including Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. I also... and I have no idea how this will pan out, but I did get on Mastodon, which seems to be the current alternative to what Twitter will be. But I'm at Will Carey on Mastodon as well, if anyone wants to follow me there. And folks, I hope you have a great Thanksgiving. I hope your team has a great run in the World Cup, and I look forward to sharing some good times and good vibes with close friends of mine during the holidays and the World Cup very soon. So thank you all so much for being here and for supporting me and for supporting my guests. I sincerely appreciate it, and I will see you next time between Awesome and Disaster. Stay safe, wear a mask, get vaxxed and boosted, get boosted again if you're eligible, and stomp out fascism. Take care, everybody.